Welcome back. It's Disaster Awareness Week this week, and for many people, what to do in a disaster remains baffling. With the recent eruption of Mount Ruapehu and the frequent earthquakes, it shows just how unpredictable New Zealand is. Bailey Clark with the story.
New Zealand's location and environment means it is susceptible to many potential disasters. In the case of weather-related or volcanic disasters, there may be time for a warning. However, an earthquake or tsunami close to land could strike without warning. So we are told to prepare for a disaster now. But just how many of us are prepared?
But does your family have an emergency plan ready if a disaster was to strike now?
I would say no. I probably have enough food for 3 days to feed my family. I don't have stored water. I probably haven't really taken much thought into it. I don't think we take it for granted. Like Sarah was saying, I probably have the essentials, but thinking about it, probably not prepared for it.
I spoke with Bill Morley, the manager of the Waitakere Civil Defence and Emergency Management.
The first thing is that we ask the public to develop a household plan for evacuation should it be required, and also to develop an emergency kit. Now, the emergency kit is made up of a lot of items, particularly we're looking at people to be able to survive for up to 3 days in an emergency without help or assistance, and that includes provision of food and water supplies, and also if you have to evacuate your home, to be able to take other certain items with you as well. But if people are not sure where they can, what items they need to have in an emergency kit and the getaway kit, whatever they need to have, then they can refer to the last of the yellow pages and the back cover of the yellow pages in the phone book, which has all that information. Or if they've got one of these household emergency checklists as well that were delivered to every home throughout the country through a program by the Ministry of Civil Defence within the last few months, then that gives them a good guide on what they should do there to prepare and plan. And if they haven't got one of those emergency checklists, then all they need to do is get hold of their nearest civil defence office, and that can be posted out to them.
With communication, there'll be cell phones down and phone lines down. What should people do in the situation in trying to communicate and finding out what's happening around the area?
Well, that can be a problem, obviously, depending on the nature of the emergency. In any emergency, communications are always a problem, and invariably some forms of communication will fail, particularly telephone, and also mass use of cell phones. You won't be able to get through. So again, it comes down to planning again, having a plan that if you can't get home to get your children where the children should go to, again, and schools have a responsibility in this planning as well, but we have a plan where the children can go, that you will know they're going to go if they can't get home, so you can go and meet them from there, and vice versa too, or where you as a parent may be able to get to, and the children may have to go to as well, or at least be able to tell someone where the parents are likely to be, or what the plan is for where the children should go to.
How do we deal with panicked public?
That is purely and simply a public health issue, and if you are in a situation where you are in a flooded area and there are sewage issues, obviously relates to public health issues, then you would be evacuated from there anyway to a safe area, and a safe area would be where the toilets are still functioning. It could be also a situation where you may have to evacuate people in the first instance to a location where there may not be full toilet facilities, but such things as portaloos could be organised as a temporary measure where available. But certainly, if you lost toilet and the sewage problems were there, then you wouldn't be able to stay in that location.
What about people who have disabilities, especially of the physical nature, that might limit their capacities of getting out and evacuation? What do you recommend they do in that situation?
Again, it comes down to planning. In some areas of emergency management, within emergency management, we identify areas which we call our special needs groups, and by that we identify schools, rest homes, places where people have disabilities, so that we know that if we have to evacuate those areas, we have a pretty good handle on where groups of people are that may have special needs that we need to evacuate. But in other locations where people are in their just at home with disabilities, again, it comes down to planning, talking to neighbours, making sure your neighbours know that you have a disabled person next door, and that those people can help you out as well. But civil defence is just not about the local civil defence emergency management office. We work in conjunction with a lot of other agencies, the police, fire, all the emergency services, but also health. And the health boards, they also have records of people at home with disabilities. So they would have a role to play as well in assisting with the evacuation of those people. And a good example of that would be a major power outages which we had in July this year, where large areas of the North Shore, Rodney district were affected and without power and hot water for days, and I think some people up to about 7 days. There were people in homes there who had disabilities, didn't have power, so there was a coordinated effort to make sure that those people were okay.
To find out what you can do to prepare yourselves for an emergency, you can go to the back of your yellow pages or go to www.getthrough.govt.nz. Put together an emergency household plan and an emergency kit. Prepare now and survive. Bailey Clark, Nzone Tonight.